All right. Let me just unmute us all for a minute. Okay, everybody's still there, right? Yeah? So I was just explaining about the Council of 9 or 12. So I'll bring them through today. I was going over a little bit about the STAR healing system for tomorrow. So if you've never had a level 1 session, or first attunement as I call it, and you cannot join us live tomorrow, I'm going to invoke you, by name to be present. The reason I'm probably not going to record that healing call is because people tend to, probably by human nature, you'll probably play it over and over, and that's really not how the protocol is supposed to go. So everybody should have received from me how to prepare and some follow-up notes. So if you didn't in an email attachment, please let me know and I'll resend them, because it's helpful to know some things in advance. Particularly, if you're new to energy work, or even if you're not new to energy work, it's not as though there's anything that can be done to harm a person. We're working with God energy, God mind. This is a Pleiadian-based healing system that I downloaded about 8.5 years ago, but there are many light races that are going to be present now. So, but anyway, that's why. There are, part of the reason for the call too is if someone can't join us live, I'd like to go over the 2 healing tools that Michael gives everyone for level 1. And probably second attunement. So the way I constructed these STAR healing the timing of these, is to allow people enough time to integrate any first attunements. Okay, so I recognize many of you from working with you before, but if you've already had a first attunement concerning tomorrow on the 5th, it's not advisable. I mean, you don't want to repeat that. I mean, that's just not the way it was ever designed. Michael's, there are different levels. There's 3 different levels so far. Each one's kind of added upon, stacked upon, and kind of even a little stronger than the first one. If you think of them as building blocks, that's probably an appropriate way to think about them. So anyway, some of you I know will probably just be joining for the 2nd level attunement. I think that date is in a couple of weeks. It's later in August. I don't have that right in front of me. But that's why, if you're wondering why the gaps of time and so on. I'd like to get back to some conceptual things. When we're together in your STAR healing, whether it's what we call a first attunement or a second attunement, or if some of you need a third attunement or just want one because you're curious, you want to do more time traveling, you don't really have a condition or emotional situation, let's say, on Earth, they're all constructed differently. STAR Healing 2 is what it's called, is also available. I'm not here to kind of sell all of that. I just want to make a note so everybody kind of knows what class, what healing to attend, okay? Because Michael, in his wondrous goodness, suggests that we imagine many things, if you've not had a 2nd level attunement, it's going to be different. I'm not going to repeat everything the same way. It changes in many different ways, and I'd like to get the first attunement concepts done and hopefully move to some of that, how they're different, so you can, I think knowledge is power, and it's a very, what I call a sophisticated system, and some people think it's the most powerful healing system on the planet. So because Michael asks us to visualize things, sometimes the visuals don't relay the depth of what's happening, I feel. I mean, that's, so that's the other reason kind of for this time together. And again, see if you have any questions about how to prepare. I'll unmute everybody if you're able to chat. I'll take questions at any time, either about your session, about the system, Probably save the channeling, as I mentioned, for the end. But one thing I'd like to start off with is, what is light language and how is it used in STAR Healing Intergalactic Energy to help children and adults? And though most everybody, I think, has come forward for healings for themselves, it is a system that very much is hopefully going to be spread to younger souls that are vibrating higher than previous generations of children, so it's high enough to reach them. And so that would include, of course, all the indigo, rainbow, diamond, blue moon, did I say crystalline? Advancing not only children, but, young adults, because they still need integration. Many of them do. And that's, part of Michael's message. So I'll read what he has to say about the light language, and also just say, when you come to a session, whether it's level 1 or 2, first attunement or second or third for that matter, you don't have to see or feel anything. Okay, that's another reason for the call, because if you're not in that place, let's call it, how would you know what's really the depth of really what's going on unless I, make it more known? So particularly what I'm talking about right now is the light beings. When I invoke them all, I'll invoke all the ascended masters, I'll invoke all the angels, I'll invoke all your guides, I'll invoke all of mine. And at last check, Michael said there were about 15 light races that are present in every session. In addition to many saints and all the what we might call cosmic Christ figures. So even if you do not hear light language, I'm using it through them. I may not say it in first or second or third attunements, but in the way that, I can, but the way the system's set up. So you may not hear me say it, but I invoke them all and they're using it. In fact, many times animals and people hear it. Many times they don't. But the point is, it's called intergalactic for a reason. Okay. So many times the light beings are going to use harmonic healing codes, sacred geometry, not just tone, but can be tone, light language. So let's just go over some of this. This type of healing, might be very new to some of you. So let me just go over this. The use of intergalactic light language is just one form of advancing healing methods open to our planet at this time. The light codes, Michael says, imagine the light codes themselves form molecules like tiny icicles and lay upon the fields of energy like morning dew. They integrate into the human and animal bodies gradually. This is God's plan. That word gradually, I just pause about for a moment. Ever since the beginning of the system, the origination of the system, the Archangel said at least 3.5 weeks, at least 3 weeks between levels of sessions, almost always, because whether you know it or not, you're going to be downloading what occurs tomorrow or the second time we're together. At least that time, and now lately he's made it a month because things get stronger, upgraded, you might say. So I'm doing my best to kind of bridge the gap there, but the point is you will be integrating that long. That's the other reason why Michael showed me or taught me what to do in 3 different manners, kind of levels, right? You can't pour everything down into a human light, a human light or an animal and expect them to gather it all. It's like a sponge. A sponge will pick up so much water, and then after that you can keep pouring water on the sponge and it doesn't really do it. So that's why there's a space between a first and a second or a third attunement. 3 weeks minimum, 4 weeks ideally, okay, for integration. And that's partly because these light language codes are coming in, okay? So many different light races are helping to fulfill the divine plan by making use of these And again, some frequencies are not heard by humans. I've had, of course, some clients and animals that but hear them. So just know that, that's going to be part of your session, your Star Healing Intergalactic Energy session. Many of you probably know that there are dozens and dozens of light languages that are coming to our planet at this time. Some light languages are from Sirius, some are from Jupiter, some are from Andromeda, some are from star systems yet unknown by many. And some of those star systems, by the way, that are less talked about can be found in, or through, I should say, Michael's Dominion audio series about, I believe it was in your information, in your package. So from my perspective, it's not important to know what origin the light language is coming from in your session. Might be Pleiadian, might be 15 of them all at once, might vary per person. There's some things I still don't know, and it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter to identify. Some of the information, some of the vibration and what they're doing is so vast that I don't even know. A lot of times clients might tell me what's happening and educate me. An example recently from Japan was during a session, a woman was very clairvoyant and said that by the time her session was open, all the organs in her body, she saw them, they were all crystalline. All of them were vibrating and looking crystalline. Sounded so beautiful. So, anyway, so some star seeds know these tones. And again, what Michael's talking about primarily in that is, and you don't have to be young to be a star seed, by the way, but, many of the younger people, they expect these tones to be present. Okay, and these, again, could be young adults, or certainly true for even younger animals and children. What else will occur in your session? At some point in time, the light beings, I'll call them my Pleiadian family members, they're going to update your chakra system. Okay? Why? Because the one that we're operating with is worn out or wearing out. Persimmon told me that some time ago. To hold more light. It kind of makes sense to me. Sometimes they do this by spinning them all silver. Sometimes they lay colored discs upon them. And many times they're doing it in ways that I don't even know. All I know is, why wouldn't they, right? Because some things, just like Michael's Dominion system, why are newer things, more appropriate for the time we're living, to contain and hold and integrate and amplify and make use of the frequencies and the time that we live in now, okay? Let me just move on, and I'm going to try to talk really faster than normal. Okay? What does Atlantis and the hollow earth have to do with star healing intergalactic energy? Okay? So as we get into some of these concepts, at the same time I will also say, you don't have to remember any of this. I know many people are just hurting, suffering in some way. Same with animals. They just want help. Okay, that's why Michael has so many of the images in there. Imagine a beautiful rainbow, or imagine 3 crystalline triangles. And I'd ask you to put images in there of people that have wounded you. That's partly why the images are in there, to make it accessible to wherever you are in this journey. At the same time, people are awakening, and many people want to know these things. Let me answer that question. The conch shell is used in every Star Healing Intergalactic session, and it's placed under my table. The consciousness of Atlantis, again, more of that was explained to me before in Michael's 2012 book. But it's not necessary, again, that when you come to this magnified healing system that you're aware of these concepts, which I just talked about. But connecting souls to the fifth dimensional loving civilizations within the hollow earth, as well as drawing power from Atlantis, can bring a deeper connection to them, with you, to all matter, to all interdimensional matter, and to the subatomic particles still resonating within. Michael said another way, this system is increasing knowledge of many concepts traditionally kept hidden from us. That's partly why, I'd like to, talk about this. Many of us have had past lifetimes in Atlantis, so the conch shell, not only is it helping these golden spirals of your heart opening kind of integrate with fifth dimensional pure love and higher civilizations that are in the inner core, but if you had any lifetimes in Atlantis, and most of us did, and they were fragmentized or wounded in some way, the purpose of the shell also is to bring healing to those aspects of yourself. Yes, it's true that big portals of light are opening up. The Lion's Gate is in a few days. There are other, portals, stargates, that are opening and pouring more ascension energies into us. And at the same time, it's not as though Michael said, stop, teaching healers, instructing healers, and helping people or animals. This is obsolete, because there are some things that even with that energy coming down, some things still are not going to be transformed, I don't believe. For example, let's just go with this another minute, the opening of the Lion Stargate on August 8th. I don't know, I haven't listened for this, and it's really not the context of our call today, but I don't know that those portal openings are going to remove implants that were placed in human beings. Okay, that's one thing. Okay, so anyway, just to, kind of bring things together on that a bit. What is the purpose of time travel? Okay, time travel, I'm going to skip ahead here a little bit to second attunements. Second attunements are sometimes quite necessary, as powerful as star healing is. Michael, there are conditions where it might be necessary, and it's not just to time travel, although that's when that idea or concept is introduced. And we'll talk about that in just briefly, shortly here. If you're sad, depressed, or grieving, or on mind medicine, you very well may benefit from a second session. If you have abuse history, you very well probably will benefit from a second session, different session, not a repeat of the first. If your home space is highly toxic, and you can base your toxins on the thoughts that you've made in it lately, and then just think about the last month and the last month after that, and the people that live with you, all the pets that are in there. Okay, that's why Michael integrated, or we hope to integrate, with people's healing journey, ascended spaces. Ascending your space using simple techniques that are appropriate, using Pleiadian concepts, once again, for the time we live in. So abuse addictions can be stubborn, okay? Some viruses are stubborn, okay, and resistant to change. These are Michael's words. And so certainly training healers all over the world now and doing my own work, sometimes people might be depressed and on mind medicine, and they don't need a second session, okay? They're always miracles, and everything can change, okay? But if you're kind of wondering about this, the first level attunement in a broad-based way is going to be integrating and helping you expand the frequencies of love and kindness. There'll be many other things that we'll be doing. Second attunements are going to be helping you integrate and implement in your lives gratitude, silver, the second highest healing element on our planet. Okay, so we call love and gratitude the two crucibles of Christ consciousness. Okay, there's nothing new about this piece of teaching, right? It's ancient. But you can't introduce a new healing system, of course, without looking at the pillars. So they differ in many ways, but let's go on for a second about helping you understand time travel. Okay, so if a person is a believer in what? Life in other dimensions, and probably all of you are, or if you wouldn't be on our call here today. But I would ask, if I didn't know, many of you I've had the pleasure of working with, so I kind of know. But Michael said, if they have a belief that's open to that there's life in other dimensions, then I would use the open chamber nautilus shell as an actual object. And the quick explanation of time travel and its benefits is to allow a human being or animal just to travel back, forward in time, and into parallel realities to spread love. The nautilus shell serves as the engine to allow souls to do this more easily than by other means. Obviously, the concept of time travel isn't anything new. It's ancient, Michael says, as the stars itself. But by connecting with the fields of limitlessness, an individual transmutes any and all fragments of fear to travel in time. This is regulated time travel under the watchful eye of a trained professional. That's alami. It's not time travel in the wrong hands, in which case it would be called mind manipulation, okay, which is not healthy. So in this context of the star system, many times the soul's desires to continue to spread love supersedes this lifetime that you're living in. So many times time traveling healing work serves a very deep healing need within a person. He goes on to say there's no reason why your world will not extensively choose to time travel in the next decade. However, for now, many find it easier to do so in this manner. He means in the system of the star system. Again, time traveling from my most recent experiences with individuals. It's very unique. It's like dropping an engine into a car. You may not have an experience that you consciously know, but you'll have unconscious healing experiences. Sometimes you will go into the future and know yourself, depending on your level of awareness. So it's a little bit about time travel presently. Also, there are many other beings assisting and being present in a star healing intergalactic system. Most of the time, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Lady Portia, Saint Germain, many of the saints, Kuthumi, certainly Lord Sananda, or if you know him by Jesus Christ, will be present. Usually the women come in with the showering of rose petals. The use of sound healing is used in every level of star healing intergalactic energy. So sometimes someone asks me, how does star healing activate the 24 strands of DNA? Because, of course, over the years I see a little bit of different things, different systems that are coming about, so on, or someone shares something with me. And so I ask Michael, how does star healing do this? And there are some means, I think, that are quite more involved. It's just a neutral statement. Michael's answer says, we do this by unifying the fields of energy almost simultaneously. It's not as complex as it sounds. DNA strands since 2012 have been unifying on their own. This system speeds us up so individuals can embrace it all. So many times Saint Germain will be present to do this work. It's done at the very beginning with tone. Okay, so What about diamond activation? You know, these words you might have heard recently or seen, or, you know, we don't get a chance to talk about in your sessions. But again, STAR Healing Intergalactic Energy does this when the generator is connected to source. And the generator that he's talking about is, at least there's one on the right side of the human and animal body. And as I come to know it, you know, there were, and maybe probably many of you too are educated to the point that, you know, our DNA was manipulated way, way long ago to enslave us. And that manipulation was done to the DNA. It was done through various means. There's certainly things such as mind mapping, bit mapping, attachments, implants, and this generator thing that energetically is a dysfunction to keep us from our full self. And it's energetically transformed kind of pretty seamlessly in a session. It's usually done in a first level attunement. I kind of refer to it as a widget. You know, the diamond activation and the Merkaba, these words and terms, they're all kind of assembled or made use of in the star system. You know, they're not separated out. They're interwoven in like a tapestry. The reason Michael likes guided imagery is, one, if people don't see and feel, you know, we can all imagine, and imagery helps our immune systems, you know, a variety of means in itself. Can help lower blood pressure, help us feel good, you know, reduce anxiety and so on. When we connect people to the interstellar highway, it means that planets that are emitting sound healing frequencies are connected. So that's one of the things that is done, okay? It's done in a session. Certain sound, the tone changes at different levels. I guess I won't get into it too much today, but we use certain sound in this healing also to help us integrate and transcend part of ourselves that have split off, like what I sometimes call, what we call polarities. What our ego tells us to do or be versus divine light. And when we remove these protective emotional walls most of us have built upon ourselves, you know, greater joy, greater happiness, greater peace, greater oneness, all one with all, happiness. So that's also done in the context of a STAR healing session. It's done partly through the arrangement of some objects that are used and the tone that goes along with them. So things like helping a person become more tolerant, energetically speaking, through energy, helping people become more trusting and less fearful of the future, finding that inner happiness, less discontent, helping support self-love, love of others, gratitude versus resisting things in life. Let me just go back real quickly here to the updated chakra system. All right. Well, Persimmon, a council member from the galaxy of Persimmon, says that, you know, this system helps us speed the process. Having an upgraded chakra system allows for the ease of telekinesis, teleconnection of all types, but not limited to time travel, for the purpose of spreading love to other dimensions outside of your own. Even if a person is filled with resentment or remorse, their systems will eventually totally die away a slow cosmic death. And the guidance always is, would you prefer to work and do this work on your own unaided, or would you prefer to have immediate speed of light assistance? Michael also talks about the star system in that way about ascending. I touched upon it just a little bit with these stargates that are opening. Some people will never ascend. Some will help. Some will ascend with the influx of the energies that are coming to our planet, and some will ascend, what we call ascend, more quickly by having come to this system. There are very few full ascensions. To be fully ascended, that means you've levitated out of your physical body. Okay, that's very, very few souls of that type, but pretty closely related in the next sort of, although some people have levitated in a session, by the way, a partial body levitation. Again, you don't have to see or feel anything, but the other thing I like so much about this system, other than, well, just really everything, is that, I'm to listen, when possible, to what you might be experiencing. Why wouldn't I? If you see light beings in the room, or if you see crystalline cities and you feel bliss, and you see cities that feel like you've been there before and it's bliss and you want to describe them, why wouldn't I share in that joy with you? So certainly in any level of any session, if a person has those experiences, they're welcomed. And we'll just see how that works in our group healing. Probably we'll have to capture some of that information later, maybe in a follow-up call, another follow-up call, or in an email or something. But I think it helps. I learn is what happens there. I learn. So something else. How does STAR Healing Intergalactic Energy turn back aging? Okay. Again, Michael says, many times this is done very simply by allowing unified fields of energy to slip through chambers of light and speed the healing processes of the cells. Additionally, this is what many healing systems can't claim. Michael says that this is the only system that unequivocally can say that the implants and the coding are removed and transformed. Additionally, the removal of implants allows for human and animal cells to return to their original God state, free from disease and dysfunction. Let me just make a side note in parentheses. Okay? That does not mean that if we don't continue to support ourselves with self-loving, love of others, right, and other sort of frequencies and actions on earth, your thoughts, okay, if your thoughts, there's a caveat here, right, an asterisk. In other words, if you have all your implants removed, and that would be done in a first attunements, my understanding is that implants don't come back a second time. Attachments can, certainly. And also for the children, or if you're thinking about, next time arranging a session for your grandchild or someone. If they were born after 2012, part of that hallelujah time in history was the idea, or the truth as was shared with me, that there are no more implants. So 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, okay, they entered in without those implants, which is really a huge thing about itself. But returning to this aging thing. So with these implants removed, the cells are able to return to the original God state and function more fully, to be free from disease. It's not impossible for mankind to live into our hundreds and beyond without decay. Okay, this is what many of our light families do, the Telosians that are in Mount Shasta and many of the others. He says this will be our world 20 to 30 years. Systems like STAR Healing System allow for this possibility to occur sooner than later by also restructuring the mind and removing any implants there. Okay. I think I'll talk about how second attunements differ from first ones in just a second. Maybe I'll unmute everybody, see if you have a question, or pause here, see if you or have a chat, and then I'd like to go back, continue on, and talk about what's the purpose of etheric angel wings. Okay, anybody there with questions?
Unmuted.
Okay, I better do a check here. Can everybody still hear me? If you're on your computer, can you use the chat box, please? Just because this didn't really launch and open like it normally did. Hello, I hope so. Everybody still looks like they're there. Yes, yes, can you hear me? Okay, I guess so. Let's see one thing.
Unmuted.
Okay, so I'm going to just keep going on. What purpose do etheric angel wings serve when we place them energetically during a first level session, and how can a person or animal use them? So if you've already had a first level attunement with me or with one of the practitioners I've trained and they've not made mention of everything, that doesn't mean it wasn't done, if that happens to be the case. In some cases, I don't mention everything that's done. It's for a variety of reasons. Sometimes I'm busy listening to what a person might be sharing with me or something. So anyway, I'd like to go over this now, but here's Michael's answer to that, response to that. It makes total sense to us in the angelic realm that if I am introducing a magnified 5th D through 9th D healing system like this one, that the return to source with the release of etheric angel wings is granted or given. Dimensionality is a term used to describe vibration. Each dimensional has a resonance. Some souls and animals transcend to the 33rd dimension during a star healing session for a variety of healing reasons. That's another point just to make real quickly. If you see systems, 9th dimensional, whatever, he's just, shared the wisdom that depending partly upon where you are in this journey, 50 is the lowest dimension where the archangels reside, but you might be going up dimensionally and dimensionally and dimensionally, and we don't really need to know a number till you're at God mind. It's God mind, all that is. So either angel wings are released. If you're an earth angel, I'm simply releasing them. I've had people that feel something in their back. I've had people over the years that have a headache, and as soon as I go over the area where they are in the back, the headache releases. Speaking about headaches, there are people, of course, and practitioners that might see big motherships energetically over their healing space. They shoot down a light beam of light in the matter of the person to instantaneously remove their headache, their migraines, or something, So many really, truly, I think, incredible to me, even still, things or experiences have been expressed over the years. So if I'm placing them in your light body, and again, it doesn't, to me, it makes, I'm just explaining, if you happen to feel something in there, I'm simply opening that space up. But the purpose, I guess, is more important than all of that. Is part of releasing the etheric angel wings or attaching them or opening that up is to allow for flight. The angel wings are either placed or reactivated. Certainly animals, we go through the same thing with them. Without the capacity to fly, many struggle needlessly through life. The wings can be used to avoid dangerous situations when they're used. Even a soul, if you're unfamiliar, or I don't go into great level instruction about the use of their newly releasing angel wings, they can be a means to connect with those on the other side. Energetically, imprinting or releasing the angel wings have multi-purposes. Michael says it's a bit like answering the question, what benefit does the sun give us? For some, they allow the person to step into their full interdimensional angelic being. They may be used as healing tools. Like spiritual tools, they might take some practice. And they will empower you in many ways. Sometimes when people return for a second attunement, we see, or it's expressed, or I know that their wings are got a little tattered, actually, or one is small or gotten smaller than another, or one is stuck or something, you know. But it's all really a rather very simple matter to go back into that over that material. Many new elements are shared in a second attunement. Third attunements are different still, but I'll stay focused on second attunements. Different tone is used. The ratio of love. The ratio of love is also found in the spiral of the nautilus shell. So I will energetically draw that form into your DNA, and I'll actually use that shell in second attunements. They represent the outer octave of what we call the sacred spiral. So you might hear angels singing. You don't have to. All the experiences are as unique as you are. Sometimes people feel a gateway opening. Things like the left and the right brain of the hemisphere are balanced to induce more tranquility and new aspects of the DNA. There's more kind of insight into the number 5. You know, we use a 5-pointed star. I'm going to intend that your body is a 5-pointed star energetically when you come to the system. That also has meaning. I'd like to talk about what are key codes and stargates too, and make sure I leave time for the channeling of the council. Key codes are energetic portals to other dimensions. They serve to unlock material which is consciously or unconsciously stored in the mind. Not all souls are ready to receive key codes initially, at least not in their conscious awareness. Here's something I'll just share from a practitioner. The light beings in the system, they use sacred geometry. Thousands and thousands of sacred geometric shapes are going to be orchestrated also in your session. One of the stargates is an angel stargate. It's one of them that's accesses the sapphire stargate of truth. It's a divine stargate. Again, stargates are portals from one dimension to another. The stargate energies can assist you in being more youthful on a cellular level. Again, because this is a cellular system, benefits come to everyone differently. Sometimes they're instantaneous and immediate. Many times they don't come that way. Many times there's a little bit. Might be a little bit. Michael says, like the sifting of flour over time. He also promises to us that people and animals can continue to receive benefits decades after you've had a session because of the way of the cellular component and the way things are orchestrated. You'll be receiving 3 sacred symbols tomorrow if this is your first attunement. Second attunements, I'm going to expand them or update them or make them more powerful, I guess. So, you know, upgrade them in a variety of means, as I've been taught. Let's see, what else should I... Okay, so when we help open your heart center and our vibrations rise on the cellular molecular level, you're allowing a greater ease of the Christ consciousness grid through the etheric crystalline core of Mother Earth herself. That's another reason why we use the conch shell, to connect with Mother Earth. It makes it easier for you. Okay, that's what Michael tells us. Okay, if I may. For humans, in every Star Healing Intergalactic session, at least 25,000 sacred shapes arising from the Stargate energies are aligned through the galactic center. Let me go on to second attunements for just a second. In second attunements, you'll also be asked to share some I am healing statements, and I'll share them with the group. The group will repeat them. There are many other differences. I'll be working on a different grid. I'll be asking you to, if you're not already saying statements of I'm grateful for in your life now, you don't have to wait for our call. I would be doing that. I would be doing the same for love and kindness if you've forgotten. Second attunements, if you've forgotten some of the tools to continue on with, like using your halo, saying love and kindness. I'll go over those again before that second session to refresh everybody, because it can tend to happen. I think I wanted to cover something else here before I got to the channeling from the council. Well, yes, we will be connecting with electromagnetic wave, magnetic waves to Mother Earth. By the way that I do some things, let's just say. Also, when people journey, if this wasn't clear before, if you've had a session, you're going to have, your first one tomorrow. It's called The Journey. Michael named it The Journey. So whether you have conscious knowingness about this or not, you're going to be journeying to your soul home, your star family home. Okay, for what purpose? Again, to heal any separateness there might be there, because most of us are not from Earth. So that's why it's called a journey, or you could say it's a journey to the great central sun. Okay, for the purpose also of allowing more peace and calming energies to flood to you. Sometimes people have the awareness, and when they're in the journey, they go to Jupiter, which is their soul home. Okay, so when we come to our group session, again, I will invoke everybody. I will ask the Pleiadians to, kind of separate the healing, so some things, first level and second level, are going to be done for most of humanity. And then I'll ask the Pleiadians, particularly through these tools called tinctures. They're powerful healing tools that work on a variety of things at once. I'll ask the Pleiadians to move the energy through me for each individual. So also, after tomorrow, in the terms of follow-up and after second attunements, I would like to hear from everyone. Everybody's going to want to drink lots of water, 4 days of water. If you didn't read the follow-up notes, I'm just going to tell you here verbally or remind you, okay? Even if you don't feel or see anything, even if nothing changes in a week, don't be fooled, okay? Don't be misled, all right? Hopefully you've gotten some greater insight into what the system is about, or a little bit more about it. Their past lives are removed. There are ways to speed healing. There are many kind of things didn't really even touch on yet here today, but hopefully, if something remains in your mind and you can't chat it in, and I'll try to open the phone lines. I'd like to make sure that we get in some kind of message from the council. Okay. All right, can everybody hear me? Are there any questions? Are there any questions?
Unmuted.
Okay, I apologize. Something isn't working on taking live questions unless you're on your computer and you can chat them in. So hopefully I'll get this worked out for the next time. Or send me an email by all means, okay? If you have a question. Okay, so let me do this. Invocation, bring in the council of the council. Also, before I guess I close our time with this, if you haven't listened to some of the downloads, I believe the offer also had some downloaded information in there. You know, I'd probably wait I'd probably wait. If you haven't listened to them now, I wouldn't kind of go through them all. They're energy transmissions themselves, and we're gonna have enough, going on after tomorrow. It's also my recommendation, and always has been for almost 9 years, that if someone chooses to have other energy work after tomorrow or after your second level attunement, or if you arranged a third level attunement, know that you can be releasing longer and stronger, and that's not advised. Certainly people do as they will, but from my teaching standpoint, if something remains, have them come back to the system from the stars. That's why first attunement, second attunement, third attunement. Star Healing 2 will have colors not yet on the planet, shields, symbols, sabers, crystal wands, all kinds of things. So everything's infinite, of course. But right now we're kind of focusing on a first attunement and a second attunement, and I want to make sure everybody's as prepared as they can be, okay? It's not like getting a haircut, okay? I try to make that clear. So again, you don't have to have great visions of Atlantis. You don't have to feel the glory and the love and the humbleness of Christ appear. Be blessed and grateful if you are, and many other things that can occur. But know that these things are occurring in the background, okay, if nothing else. And all right, I wish you all a beautiful, blessed day. Let me go out here now then with the council. The council, do you have a message for those that have made time in their day today to join us, please? All right, they're starting to say, we're moved by your passion for things, and we're moved by their passion for things. We're saying for things because we want to say it like this. We're moved by passion. We're moved by even people, souls, animals, plants, concepts that are not passionate. For many souls may not find it. But our promise to you is that by opening your hearts and minds to things that you may not know much about, or things that you know a little about, or things that you know quite much about because you yourselves are star seeds and you commune regularly with your own light being guides. No matter where you are in that journey, it gives us the utmost joy and the greatest confidence by understanding the importance of the value of the human and animal and plant kingdoms, that you're doing your own part in the ascension of your planet. At this time, we would close at this moment by saying, I am, we are one. We are one. Call on us. We are always there. All right, so there's no other closure. I think they're just finished there. All right, so once again, thanks everybody for joining me. I'll send the recording if you can re-listen if you like, for those that weren't able to attend live, and we'll move on to Star Healing Intergalactic Energy, first attunements, same time tomorrow.